Hey yogis, welcome to Yellow Yoga. My name is Kelly and I'll be guiding you today. This practice is a gentle, full body yoga flow. We'll spend most of our time close to the ground, moving slowly and mindfully as we build muscle, open the heart, open the hips, and release tension throughout the body. It's a great way to ground and center before starting your day or while winding down in the evening hours. Create a nice little ambiance for yourself, roll out your mat, and let's get started. We'll start today's practice on the ground. So go ahead and make your way down to your mat and find a nice comfortable seat. Sit up nice and tall as you can. Close your eyes or lower your gaze and begin to connect to your breath, creating a nice, steady rhythm. Maybe on these first couple of breaths, breathe just a little deeper than you normally would. And we'll do a little body scan here before we begin to move. Starting at the top of your head and working your way all the way down to your toes. Just bringing awareness to any sensation we might feel, both externally and internally. Take your time here. We'll spend about a minute on this exercise. If you feel inclined to move your body at all or make adjustments to get a bit more comfortable, feel free to do so. Wiggle the fingers a bit. Now wiggle the toes. Take one big expansive inhale, breathing as deeply as you possibly can. And exhale, release, sigh it out. Let's come forward on our hands and knees here for tabletop position. And right away, we'll start to sync with our breath for cat and cow. Inhale for cow, drop the belly, shine the chest to the sky, gaze up. Exhale for cat, tuck the tailbone, round the spine, drop the chin. Inhale for cow. Exhale for cat. Continue on your own here, moving as fast or slow as you'd like. On your next inhale, come back to a neutral spine. And we're just going to walk the knees back slightly until the arms are straight out in front of us for puppy pose. Hips are over the knees, chest is sinking toward the mat here for a nice stretch in the shoulders and back. Forehead is resting on the mat. And we'll take 3 deep breaths here in puppy pose. Walk your hands toward your body to come out of your pose. We'll spread the knees wide and sink the hips back for child's pose. And we'll take 5 long, deep breaths here. Maybe rocking the forehead from side to side on the mat as well to give the third eye a gentle massage. All together, we'll take one final inhale here. And as you exhale, lift the hips and round the spine like you're shifting into cat pose with the knees still wide. As you come into an inhale, move toward upward facing dog at the front of your mat, allowing your heels to come toward your glutes. And exhale, round the spine, push all the way back to child's pose. Take one big expansive inhale here in child's pose. And exhale to lift the hips and round the spine, continuing this movement on your own for a couple of breaths. Feel free to explore and make this your own. Find a way to enjoy the movement. Maybe that means bringing the knees closer together. Maybe that means changing up your breathing pattern. Just make sure you explore a couple options before settling into the best option for you. Wherever you are, make your way to child's pose. And then from here, walk your hands toward you. Tuck your toes and bring the knees together. And then slowly come up to a kneeling position with your toes tucked and your sits bones resting gently on your heels for a deep stretch in your feet. And we'll stay here for a couple of breaths. Try to make this your own and find some comfort. You may want to start with mindful hand placement. Maybe you'd like to place your palms face down on your thighs. Maybe you'd prefer your hands together in prayer at your heart with a gentle bow. And then close your eyes and find stillness. If you're struggling here with the feet, just come up off the feet to a high kneeling position for a breath or two before lowering back down. As you breathe here, just know that this pose is more than just stretch the feet. You can think of it as a massage on your organs, the spleen, stomach, kidneys, liver, bladder. Think of it also as an exercise to lean into discomfort and build some resilience. And we'll take just 3 more long, slow breaths. Walk your hands forward here. lifting the hips off the heels to come into a tabletop position. And untuck the toes. Maybe wiggle the toes a bit to relish in their freedom. Bring the knees mat width apart. Now place the right hand at the midline of your mat. On your next inhale, send the left hand straight up to the sky and hold it here for a couple of breaths. Find length here, really reach up. And then exhale to bring the left hand down, threading the needle, sending the left hand through the space under the right arm. Left arm, left side of the head are both on the mat. You can use your right arm to press into the mat for a bit of an extra twist. Or you can send it over your head to the front of the mat for an extra side body stretch. You choose here. Bring your right hand back to the midline of your mat. And on your next inhale, untwist and send the left hand all the way back up to the sky. And exhale, release the left hand to the mat and switch sides. Inhale, send the right hand straight up to the sky and hold it here for a couple of breaths. And on your next exhale, bring the right hand down to the mat, threading the needle. Again, you can use your left arm to press into the mat for that extra twist, or you can send it over your head to the front of your mat. Bring your left hand back to the midline of your mat now. And on your next inhale, untwist and send the right hand all the way back up to the sky. And exhale, release back down to the mat. Let's walk the hands forward and make our way into puppy pose. Hips are over the knees, chest is sinking toward the mat, forehead resting on the mat. And we'll take 2 deep breaths here. Maybe this time we'll bring the palms together behind the head for a bit more of a tricep stretch. And when you're ready, we'll slide the hips all the way forward and down to come to Sphinx pose. And we'll take a couple breaths here as well. Try to make this an active Sphinx, focusing on length and an even distribution of weight, while also releasing any unnecessary tension in the body, in the face, in the shoulders. If you notice any tension in the neck, turn your head over your right shoulder and then your left, moving with your breath. On your next inhale, tuck the toes under. Exhale to engage the core and lift the hips for low plank. and we'll be here for 5 breaths. Really find some length here. Really push away from the mat, keeping lots of space between your chest and the floor. Keep breathing. Bring the left forearm parallel to the front of the mat and roll onto the knife edge of your left foot for low side plank. And we'll be here for 5 breaths on this side. If you're not feeling side plank today, that's totally okay. You can lower your hips to the ground and reach your right arm straight over your head to the front of the room for a side sphinx pose. Try out your side plank and then try out your side sphinx, and then decide which variation you'd prefer today. And we'll switch sides now, bringing your right forearm parallel to the front of the mat, rolling onto the knife edge of your right foot for low side plank or side sphinx if you'd prefer something slightly different today. And we'll meet back in the center, and we'll take one final inhale here and exhale to release and lower the knees, belly, chest, all the way down to the mat. Rest your forehead on the backs of your hands and take a couple of deep breaths here. And then we'll paint the mat with the hands, sending the hands toward the back of the mat. Resting the chin on your mat now. On your next inhale, we'll engage the back body and lift the upper and lower body all the way off the mat for locust pose and breathe. We'll take 3 deep breaths here. Really lengthen here. See if you can get even further off the ground. And release all the way back down to the mat. Deep breath in and exhale, release. Inhale for locust pose, once again lifting the upper and lower body off the mat. This time, see if you can clasp your hands behind the back, and we'll take 5 deep breaths here. And release back down to the mat. When you're ready, push back up to your knees and sink the hips back to the heels for child's pose. Knees together this time. And then paint the mat with your hands to bring the hands all the way back to the feet. And give your feet a little squeeze if you'd like. Send the arms out long once again toward the front of your mat and lift your hips to come out of child's pose. When you're ready, plant the hands and feet and send the hips high and back for downward facing dog. Go ahead and pedal it out here for a few breaths. Enjoy some movement. When you're ready, lift your right foot and plant it on the outside of your right hand for lizard pose. We'll stay here in lizard for about a minute to really stretch out that outer right hip. So I encourage you to take whatever variation of lizard you find most beneficial for you. You can keep the back knee lifted or you can lower it to the ground. You can stay up on your hands or maybe lower down to your forearms. If you have blocks available, it might be a good idea to use those as well. And then you can play around with moving the foot slightly wider on the mat, maybe even rolling onto the outside edge of your foot. Just keep it flexed to avoid injury. And make sure you play around with all your options before you choose the best fit for you. And when you're ready, find stillness and connect to your breath and body. If you're on your forearms, come back up to your hands. Drop your back knee if it's lifted. And from here, we're going to slide the right foot diagonally toward the back left corner of the mat. So the back of our right knee is now touching our left knee. And we'll send the feet out toward the edges of our mat, not too far. Just far enough so we can sink the sits bones between the feet for cow face pose. Torso is nice and tall here. Take a second to settle in, adjust the knees, the feet, the legs. Find a position you can be comfortable in for a minute or two. Bring your right elbow up to the sky and place your right hand in the middle of your back. Then send your left arm behind your back, elbow down, with the fingers reaching up toward your other hand. And then see if you can clasp your fingers at all here. Again, don't force anything here. Just go as far as you can and stay there. And we'll take 2 more deep breaths. Release your left arm and bring it out to the front of you. Now drop your right elbow into the elbow crease of your left arm, sending the palms toward each other for eagle arms. And we'll be here for just 5 more breaths. See if you can lift the palms a bit higher for a deeper stretch in the upper back body. If you'd like, you can also start to hinge forward for a deeper stretch in the outer hips. Unbind the arms and come forward onto your knees. And slowly, when you're ready, come back up into downward facing dog. And pedal it out here once again. Maybe notice how one side feels different from the other side. And when you're ready, we'll take it to the other side. Lift your left foot and plant it on the outside of your left hand for lizard pose. Again, play around and find a variation that works for you here. And once you're ready, find stillness and connect to your breath and body. If you're on your forearms, come back to your hands. Drop your back knee if it's lifted. And from here, we're going to slide that left foot diagonally toward the back right corner of the mat so our knees are touching. And we'll sink the hips back between the feet for cow face pose. Sitting up nice and tall. Take a second to settle in, adjust the knees, the feet, the legs. Find a comfy spot here. Bring your left elbow up to the sky and rest your left hand in the middle of your back. Then send your right arm behind your back to see if you can clasp your fingers. You might notice this side is wildly different from the other side. Don't push yourself here, just go right to your edge and then stay there. And we'll take 3 more deep breaths. Release your right arm and bring it to the front of you. Now drop your left elbow into the elbow crease of your right arm and send the palms toward each other for eagle arms. And we'll be here for 5 deep breaths. You can also start to hinge forward for deeper stretch in your outer hips here, if you'd like. And keep breathing. Unbind the arms. Come forward onto your knees. And slowly, when you're ready, come back up into downward facing dog. And pedal it out here. Lower the knees to the earth. And make your way to your sits bones with your feet in front of you on the mat. And then bring the feet in toward you to come to a comfortable cross-legged seat. Close your eyes if they're not closed. Bring the hands to the knees, palms open, sitting up nice and tall. And just do a body scan here, starting at the top of your head and working your way all the way down to your toes. See if you can notice any tension or tightness. any body parts that are tempted to fidget. And then consider any final poses or postures you'd like to take for yourself before we make our way to Shavasana. I'll give you 60 seconds to work in whatever movement you need to before we close our practice. Wherever you are, even it out if you need to. Work in any final movements. And then make your way down to your back, legs stretched out long, palms open at your sides. Take a couple seconds to settle in and get comfortable. Release any tension you're holding in the neck, jaw, shoulders, diaphragm, hips, thighs, ankles, feet. Release tension from between the eyebrows, the ears, and melt down toward the earth, getting heavier and heavier with each breath. Release your mind from thinking, just focusing on your breath, moving your body up and down. As always, I encourage you to stay in Shavasana for a couple of minutes to reap the full benefits of the practice today. Maybe take a second or two to set a timer for yourself and then come back to Shavasana. Thank you for sharing your practice with me. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. Namaste.